What's up, guys? It's Coach Gaglione here, and this is another edition of our GAGS Goals Updates. If this is your first time stopping by, I'm Coach Gaglione. This is Gaglione Strength. This vlog is chronicling my weight loss journey. I've been as heavy as 340 pounds, and as of today's taping, I weighed 226 this morning. I also had an all-time low weigh-in, I want to say since 2007, 2006, around there, so well over 10 years. I weighed in, I had a little what I would call a cheater weigh-in. After breakfast, after a workout, I was 222 on the commercial gym scale. And I've been consistently under 230, so I'm very happy about that. So this is our road to 198 series. I've been working toward this goal for a while. Over the past 3 years especially, I've been really trying to focus on fat loss. And I've been trying to balance staying strong, staying lean, getting healthy. And I feel like I'm really hitting a good stride here. So I mentioned if you're not new and you've been kind of following along my journey, I'm an equipped lifter primarily. I've done raw, I've done equipped. I've hit 900 pounds in competition in a squat suit. I've also done 705 raw in sleeves and 715 reps. So no stranger to the raw lifting, but for right now, I just enjoy the challenge of equipped lifting, and it's allowing me to scratch that kind of itch of kind of just going a little crazy, kind of letting my, kind of feeding the wolf, per se, whatever you want to call it, but just kind of allowing me to scratch the itch, kind of feed the dragon. There's a lot of different analogies, but allowing me to kind of just really lift heavy, but still kind of be protected, and still allowing me to get leaner and work towards my goals. And I don't really advocate trying to go into a meet on a big calorie deficit, but number one goal is getting leaner, and I've been doing that. One of my concerns with I've been using the Leviathan Ultra Pro, and it's been working well, but it just what I've found is that one of the greatest benefits of it, it's also kind of a downside if you don't have a consistent training partner or a consistent person helping you all the time. I have a pretty consistent schedule, but a lot of our members and a lot of our team aren't exactly as consistent as I am. They may have kids, they may have other jobs, prior engagements. So just having to adjust the strings all the time is kind of a pain, and I just kind of found, especially as I've been losing weight, and my weight does fluctuate quite a bit, just having to get the strings just right was getting a little bit cumbersome, especially on the deadlift. I wasn't really feeling like I was getting a good carryover in the deadlift. It was fine, it wasn't like, but the last time I was in my deadlift suit at 575 was kind of a struggle. And squats honestly have been going really well in the suit, but I got an opportunity. I got a good deal on a classic Ultra Pro. We kind of call the Power Diaper. It's the white insert canvas, and that's the suit I squatted 900 pounds in. That's the suit I deadlifted 700 pounds in the gym, and I've also pulled 660 in competition. So those are both my meet and all-time PRs. So I just wanted to give it a shot, and so we're going to test it out on squats this week. I'll kind of get into the deadlifts in a second. So the goal of this week, I'll just kind of recap the training really quick, and I'll kind of go into the costume change, if you will. So the goal of this week was to just get some volume in a specific fashion, and also just kind of work up to around a last warm-up weight for squat and bench. And this was my heavy week for deadlift. So typically the way I program myself and the equipped lifters, I usually have the squats and the bench presses on a similar kind of track. So when I'm going squatting heavy, I'm usually benching heavy. The only difference is as we get closer to the contest, I keep the intensity for bench press a little bit higher, just because in general, unless you're benching Benny, most of us, we're not going to be benching quite as much as we squat and deadlift. So it's going to take a little bit less time to drop fatigue, a little bit more time to peak, whereas squatting and deadlifting, it's going to take less time to peak, and it's going to take more time to drop fatigue. So that's kind of really the only difference between a squat and a bench kind of cycles, if you will. In the deadlifts, I usually just kind of move the deadlifts up a week, because usually that's going to be the most taxing on the spine. You can kind of argue for equipped lifting, the squat's more taxing, but in general, because I am still doing a lot of conventional work, so I'm taking that into consideration. So I usually deadlift heavy on the third week of the cycle, or I should say the heaviest deadlift of the month will be the third week of the cycle, and or the phase, and then squats and bench press of the heaviest lifts of the month will be on the fourth week of the training phase. So for squats, I've been still keeping the frequency higher. I'm going to do one more, what we call a subtotal Sunday. I'm going to do one more week of higher frequency where I'm benching a little bit more often, squatting a little bit more often. It's just allowing me to, it's mostly allowing me to get a little bit more pressing practice in, because bench press is still my weakest lift. And I'm kind of overcoming a shoulder injury, but knock on wood, it's been feeling really good. That's been progressing week to week. So I'm going to keep the frequency higher for now, and then after this week, I'm going to drop that down a little bit so we can raise the intensity up. So I've been using the Spud Inc. briefs, which is basically a training brief. It doesn't really give me much carryover at all. It does give me something, obviously, but not much, especially not in the deadlift. So this particular week, I did a lot of my volume with the Spud briefs. I believe I worked up to 515 for a triple on the squat, and then I did 555 with a reverse mini for a triple, and then I put on my loose jack briefs, which are basically like just a giant set of underwear at this point. I used those when I was 340, so those are very, very loose, but just provides me a little bit more compression in the hips. It just allows me to practice my competition stance a little bit more. So one of the themes of our program, and one of the philosophies that we like to have, when we're trying to add in more specific volume, we're not necessarily, I'm not always worried about doing the most amount of weight possible. So I'm just always trying to figure out ways where I can kind of still get a lot of good work in, still train my nervous system, still train a specific pattern, but without beating myself up as much. So obviously if you're in full gear all the time, if you're always having 700-800 pounds in your back, that could be very tough. So by using the training brief, or using a looser pair of briefs, or just going in knee sleeves only, or using a box squat. So on this particular day, I elected not to use a box squat. We did a free squat this week. And then once I've got my loose pair of briefs on, I did I want to say I did 645 with a reverse mini band for a triple. And then I worked up to 695 for a single with a reverse monster mini. And that felt pretty good. Usually when I'm about at 700 pounds, whether it's a reverse band or not, I'm usually putting knee wraps on at that point. So the fact I did that in the training brief with no knee wraps, I was happy about that. So that moved pretty good. Happy about that. After that, I've been using bench freak band. So the bench freak band is basically like a slingshot on steroids. Something that I got tuned in on from Bench and Benny. I do like the slingshot a lot. I think the slingshot, especially the reactive slingshot, the blue one or the pink one, depending on which color you have, the looser material is probably the best tool for a raw lifter, especially if you bench under 400 pounds raw. Just because it's more forgiving. The groove is, you could take your grooves more similar. You could touch a little bit higher. So no matter if you're have a high touch point as a bencher or a lower touch point, the slingshot is a great tool for overload and to get more volume. Whereas the bench freak band, it's going to really pull your arms together a lot more aggressively. There's multiple settings on it. It's going to teach you to spread the material, and it's going to feel much more like a chest plate of a bencher. So I worked up to about 345 with the first setting of the bench freak band for a triple, and I believe that was a PR for me, even though it's nothing earth-shattering, but it's the most I've done in it, especially since I've coming back from the shoulder injury back in March. So that's going really well. And then I elected to go I tried the second setting, so it's a little bit more aggressive, feels more like a bencher with the more settings that you do. I did 365 for a triple, and I did 395 for a single, which is about a last warm-up weight for me. So I was happy about that. So I kind of checked off those boxes. I did some heavier belt squats after that. I don't remember if I worked up to 455, but something between 405 and 455 for a couple sets of 5 on the belt squat. So I've been still using my high heels for that. So working a little bit more quad emphasis. Probably after this week, I'm going to probably use exclusively flat shoes only for squatting, and I've been wearing the heeled shoes for benching just because I feel like I just have more of a better platform on that, and I can kind of ground my feet a little bit easier. So that'll be kind of a change I'll be making soon. On the bench day, I did some work with 80 pounds of chain. I did some heavier sets of 5, and then I worked up to some work in the slingshot, and then I believe my top set was my AMRAP. I believe I did about 220 with 80 pounds of chain for a set of 8. I felt pretty comfortable, so that felt good. Did some spoto pressing after that, and I've been working on my seal rows. Seal rows have been really good. I just kind of took some advice from Josh Bryant, Jailhouse Strong, great coach as well. Got to coach, I don't know if against is the right word, because like Larry, I don't think ever was going head-to-head against any of his lifters, but alongside him at some of these higher level meets, and he's just a really good guy. and someone I've learned from for many years, and just an overall good dude. So with the advice of Josh Bryan, I've been adding some seal rows to the program. That's been working well. I feel like my back's getting stronger. I feel like it's helping all 3 lifts. And I believe my top set, I think I did 200 for like a set of 8 to 10 or 12. I forget. I just AMRAPed the last set, but I was doing sets of 5 to 8, and I think the last set was between 10 and 12 on the seal rows. I've been doing both a pronated grip and a supinated grip just to kind of switch it up a little bit. And I'm really trying to drive through and just kind of mimic my bench groove for those. So that was the bench day, and then this was the first day of the costume change. So I started off just wearing the classic canvas. Positioning felt really good. Suit felt really good in the hips. I wasn't getting a ton of resistance coming down to the bottom, so I worked up to 505 straight weight with the straps up. I worked up to 555 straight weight with the straps up. I felt like I was getting down too easy, and it felt fine, but I just felt like I could handle a little bit more. So I elected to put my jacket briefs on under the suit, just to provide a little bit more compression. At first glance, I thought it might have been too much, but to my surprise, kind of joking with Elvis that maybe it's because I'm just not so fat anymore. I could actually get down to the bar easier no matter what. So who would have thought not being so fat has its benefits for the deadlift? So I was, especially in my bigger days, getting to the bar was always a struggle, and I just haven't really had that issue. And I always kind of think in the back of my head, I'm going to have trouble getting down to the bar. And that has yet to be the case. So even with the straps untight, even with the brief and a canvas suit, I was still able to get down pretty far, pretty easily to the bar, and I felt really good. So I hit 595 for a single pretty comfortably. I was happy about that. My positioning could be a little bit better. I've been kind of dealing with a little bit of scapular issue on my right side. So I think my T-spine extension and my lat tension could be better. But I was really happy with how 595 moved. It felt much, much more comfortable than 575 did the last training phase. So very happy about that. The 595 moved well. I elected to go 645 with a reverse monster mini. So very, very happy how that moved as well. And then this was kind of a little bit of a YOLO lift, so I elected to put the light bands on for this, which is a little bit aggressive for my strength level, but I just wanted to feel some heavy weight, and I held that for very long at the top, so very happy about that. Afterwards, I probably won't be doing this too much next phase, but one of my goals for this block is to this phase of training was improve my lower back strength. So I did a top set conventional after, so I took the suit off, did a top set conventional. This was very challenging, but it's the most I've done conventional at this body weight. I did 525 for a set of 5, which is actually a PR for this year for a set of 5. So I'm happy about that. It's the most I've done at this body weight. Nothing earth-shattering, but it's moving in the right direction. So I did a set of 5 conventional at 525. And then I also hit a PR of deficits after I did I did 465 for a set of 8 off a deficit after that. So back strength's going really well. And then after that, I did 4 sets of 5. I did some sumo stance and conventional stance. Good mornings with 405 with the Spud front squat harness on the belt squat. So the costume change paid off, which is always nice when things go the way they're planned. So very happy about that. Big confidence boost this week that the scale is dropping and weights are still feeling good. I really feel like I'm confidently going to hit the 198 class. I did sign up for Autumn Apocalypse, so I set my check-in. I'm ready to go. I'm fired up, and I'm really excited to hit a PR total. I guess anything's technically a PR at 198, because I believe my actual PR total at 198 is like 1184 back when I was just a young pup in the teenage division. So the last time I competed in the 198 class was 2006. So it was it was my first couple of years of powerlifting. Was in the 198 class. I guess the first 2 years or so. So really excited to do that. I really appreciate you guys following along my journey. If you guys want to support the program, you want future content, check out the links below. Buy a book, give us a rating. You can give us a rating on our podcast, Powerlifting for the People podcast on iTunes. You can give us a rating on Google review, Facebook review, 5-star reviews. Every little bit helps. So if you like the content, it's helped you, please share it, please subscribe, please give us a rating, and check out the links. You can buy a book, get some coaching, buy a program. Every little bit helps, and we really appreciate that because we want to continue to deliver great information for you guys. So I hope this video helped you. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.